The world you see is only a fraction of what exists. Beneath cities, beneath oceans, beneath history itself, lie truths that were never meant to surface. Some call them myths, others call them warnings. But if you listen closely, you'll realize every silence has a story. And here, we bring those stories to life. You will be very lucky if you subscribe, because there are more to reveal. Things hidden from the eyes of men, waiting for those who dare to look deeper. Welcome to the mysteries the world forgot. In the coldest reaches of Siberia, where the air itself feels ancient, a group of researchers uncovered something that defied every law of history. It began in 2004, deep in the Yamalo-Nenets region, a place where compasses twist and machines often fail for no reason at all. The team was drilling through layers of permafrost when their instruments struck something solid. Not rock, not ice, something metallic and hollow. After hours of careful excavation, they revealed what looked like a capsule, sealed tight, its surface etched with strange geometric lines. Inside lay a body, human in shape, preserved perfectly, as if time itself had paused for him. He wasn't wearing ancient clothing, he wasn't wrapped in fur or cloth. He wore a suit, a smooth, silver material, light as silk, yet unburnt by the ice or time. They called him the frozen astronaut. At first, the team believed it was a modern pilot, perhaps a lost cosmonaut from the Soviet era. But carbon dating told another story. The ice surrounding the capsule was more than 10,000 years old, and the body inside had no recorded DNA match. One of the scientists, Dr. Yelena Korovin, later claimed that before authorities arrived, she managed to scan fragments of the metal suit. She said the material wasn't from Earth's known periodic table. The pattern of its atoms was structured, not natural. Days later, military trucks surrounded the site. The research logs were confiscated, and the entire team was silenced under national security orders. But leaks travel, even through ice. Months later, anonymous photos surfaced on an encrypted forum. Images of a chamber filled with blue light, and what looked like the same silver suit, hanging open on a steel table. In the background, a strange circular device glowed, as if powered by something alive. Some believe the body wasn't from the stars at all, but from Earth's forgotten past, a civilization older than recorded time, one that mastered technologies we can barely imagine. Others think the truth is darker, that he came from our own future, and time itself rejected him. Whatever he was, his discovery vanished. The site was buried again, and the coordinates erased from official maps. Yet locals still whisper of a blue light that sometimes glows beneath the snow at night. A pulse, faint but steady, as if the ice remembers. And perhaps it does, because the past doesn't always stay buried. Sometimes it just waits to be found again. At the edge of the world, where the wind never stops, lies a land almost no human eyes have truly seen. Antarctica, a place so cold, even time seems frozen. But beneath the endless white, satellite images began to reveal something unnatural. A shape too perfect to ignore. 4 sides, a sharp peak, a shadow that didn't belong to the ice. They called it the Black Pyramid. At first, scientists dismissed it as a trick of the terrain, a mountain sculpted by wind and time. But when more images surfaced, taken from different angles, the structure appeared identical from every side. Symmetrical, deliberate, and impossibly ancient. Expeditions were planned, then cancelled, funding pulled, air routes restricted. By 2016, even satellite access to that region was suddenly classified. Still, A few explorers reached it. One of them, an independent researcher named Jonathan Gray, claimed the formation was made of black basalt, the same volcanic stone used in the Egyptian pyramids. He described narrow corridors within the ice, and walls that hummed faintly, as if alive with energy. His notes were seized on his return to New Zealand. Gray disappeared 3 weeks later. Whistleblowers from old military operations in Antarctica later spoke of an excavation site beneath the ice. Massive tunnels melting outward from a central pyramid. They said they found markings, unlike anything known to man. Symbols that glowed faintly when exposed to heat. Some researchers suggest the pyramid could be the remnant of an ancient civilization, a world that existed before the last great ice age. Others whisper of something older, a relic from visitors who came before humanity. They point to the alignment. The pyramid's angles match perfectly with the 3 pyramids of Giza, and with Orion's belt above them. Coincidence? Or design? Every now and then, a strange frequency is detected near that region. A deep hum, too structured to be natural. Scientists call it geothermal vibration. Mystics call it a heartbeat. Maybe the truth lies somewhere in between. Maybe something ancient sleeps beneath the ice, waiting for the world to thaw. Because if there's one thing history has taught us, it's that the past never truly dies. It just waits patiently for us to return. The Sahara, a land so wide, so silent, it almost feels alive. Beneath its endless dunes, winds whisper through layers of ancient sand, covering secrets the world has long forgotten. They say that somewhere out there, beyond the heat, beyond the horizon, lies a city built by giants. A city the prophets once called Iram of the Pillars. A place so proud, so beautiful, that even the angels wept when it fell. For centuries, it was dismissed as myth. Just another story in the pages of the Quran. A warning of pride, power, and divine punishment. But then, in 1992, NASA's radar satellites scanned deep beneath the sands of Oman and southern Arabia. What they found changed everything. Buried beneath layers of desert was the outline of an ancient city. Massive walls, collapsed towers, and the traces of long-forgotten trade routes leading straight into its heart. The local Bedouins called it the Atlantis of the Sands. They said it was once the richest city on earth. Its markets overflowed with gold. Its fountains ran with rosewater. And its people believed their towers reached the gates of heaven itself. But pride always has a price. According to legend, the people of Iram turned away from the light and built temples not for God, but for themselves. Then, one night, a storm unlike any other swept across the desert. No rain, no sander, just a wall of sand that moved like a living thing. When the winds cleared, Iram was gone. No bodies, no ruins, nothing but silence. For generations, travelers told stories of hearing bells beneath the dunes, of seeing towers appear at dusk, then vanish as if swallowed by the earth. Scientists say the city collapsed into a massive sinkhole, the ground beneath it hollowed out by centuries of underground water erosion. But some believe otherwise. They say the city didn't just fall. It was taken, removed from this world, as punishment or protection. When explorers unearthed pottery and pillars in the 1990s, they noticed something strange. The stone was scorched, not by fire, but by heat so intense. It melted the outer layer into glass. Geologists still argue about what could cause such a thing. No natural explanation fits. And if the sands themselves burned, what kind of storm could do that? Ancient Arabic texts describe Iram as a city built by the tribes of Ad, who defied the Most High. Their king, Shaddad, tried to recreate paradise on earth. He built towers to touch the clouds, and promised his people that death could be conquered through glory. But the prophets warned him. They told him, "What is built on arrogance will fall by its own shadow." When Shaddad ignored them, the desert rose against him. The sands came alive, and paradise turned to dust. Some say the lost city still exists. Not destroyed, but hidden. A realm caught between time and memory. Revealed only to those the desert chooses. Every few decades, nomads speak of strange lights beneath the dunes. Whispers. Mirages that last too long. And sometimes, the sound of faint music. Coming from nowhere. Perhaps Iram of the Pillars still breathes. Somewhere under the shifting sands. Waiting for the day it will be seen again. And maybe, just maybe, the city isn't a warning at all. Maybe it's a mirror. A reflection of what happens when a world forgets where its power comes from. Because just like the people of Iram, we too build our towers higher each year. We chase the sun. We worship progress. And we think nothing can bring us down. But the desert remembers. And it waits. Beneath Vatican City, under the marble floors of the Apostolic Palace, lies a door without a name. No signs, no guards in sight. Yet everyone who serves within those walls knows. You don't go near it. They call it the secret archive. But that name is deceiving. Because secrets can be whispered. This one is buried. It's said that beyond that door, a labyrinth of corridors stretches for miles. Shelves upon shelves of manuscripts. Some written before the birth of Christ. Some written by hands no one can trace. Even most cardinals have never stepped inside. Only the Pope himself, and a handful of trusted archivists, are said to hold the keys. In 1610, a Jesuit scholar named Paolo Sarpi was accused of trying to copy one of the manuscripts. The document he saw, only for seconds, was said to describe a pre-Christian civilization that spoke with light. He was found dead days later. The official cause, illness. The truth, never written. For centuries, whispers have grown louder. Some say the vault holds fragments from the Library of Alexandria, saved before the flames devoured it. Others believe it hides the Book of Thoth, a text said to grant divine wisdom and the power to command spirits. A few even claim that somewhere deep beneath the archive, there's a chamber called the Hall of Light, where crystals hum softly, and an ancient voice speaks to those who listen long enough. The Church denies these tales, of course. They say the archives are only historical records, papal letters, diplomatic treaties, simple accounts of the Church's past. But if that's true, why are even cardinals forbidden to enter? Why are some of the oldest texts sealed in rooms that haven't been opened for hundreds of years? And why do a few who work there speak of hearing whispers through the stone? The deeper you go in the archive, they say, the warmer the air becomes. As if something ancient still breathes down there. Some researchers believe the Church fears what might happen if the world ever reads what's hidden. Because truth isn't always destroyed. Sometimes, it's just locked away. Beneath the ancient stones of Jerusalem, there are whispers that never died. They echo through tunnels carved before memory, through chambers that breathe dust, silence, and time itself. For centuries, priests, kings, and conquerors have walked above this city. But deep below the earth, hidden behind layers of sealed stone, lies something that was never meant to be found. They call it the Prophet's Clock. They say it was discovered by explorers in the late 1800s, somewhere beneath the old water tunnels near the Temple Mount. A team of British excavators uncovered narrow passageways, the kind that seemed to lead nowhere, yet feel as if they were built for something far greater. In one chamber, barely wide enough for a man to stand. They found a circular brass plate buried beneath rubble. Around its edge, 12 markings. Not numbers. Not months. But names. Isaiah, Ezekiel, Daniel, Zechariah, and at the very center, a symbol of an eye, inside a circle. Beneath it were the words, "When the last light turns, the world will remember the first." The artifact became known as the prophet's clock. But the name was misleading. It wasn't built to count minutes, or hours. It was built to count prophecy. Some scholars believe it was created in the age of King Solomon. A sacred mechanism designed by the priest engineers of the temple. A device meant to mark the rhythm of divine revelation. Others say it was the work of the Essenes, the same secret order who hid the Dead Sea Scrolls. One of their lost writings describes a device that measures the return of light and the fall of kings. Could they have been speaking of this clock? A calendar of destiny, carved in metal and sealed beneath the holiest ground on earth. In 1927, workers restoring a tunnel near the same area reported hearing a strange sound. A faint ticking, steady, cold, mechanical. Then it stopped. Days later, authorities sealed the site. They said it was for safety. But those who were there told a different story. They claimed the ticking started again, after the chamber was closed. Since then, that part of the underground has remained off limits. Too sacred, too unstable, too political. Depending on who you ask. Yet, some believe the prophet's clock still exists. Silently turning beneath the Temple Mount. Not marking the hours of men, but the countdown to something foretold. Biblical scholars point to the prophecy of Ecclesiastes. That which has been is what will be. And that which is done will be done again. There is nothing new under the sun. They say the clock doesn't measure time. It measures cycles. A divine rotation, where history repeats, until prophecy is fulfilled. On the inner ring of the artifact, where Daniel's name was engraved, astronomers noticed an alignment with a star called Regulus, the King's Star. It aligns with Jerusalem once every 25 centuries. And the next alignment falls within our lifetime. If that's true, then the prophet's clock isn't just keeping time. It's waiting for the next turn, when what was once hidden will be revealed again. Maybe it was never a machine. Maybe it was a message. A reminder that time is not a straight line, but a circle. A sacred pattern where every beginning is an echo of an ending. And when the last light turns, the world will remember the first. In 1901, off the coast of a small Greek island called Antikythera, a group of sponge divers made a discovery that would rewrite human history. They weren't searching for treasure. They were searching for sponges. But deep beneath the Aegean Sea, among the coral and sand-covered ruins of an ancient shipwreck, one diver saw something. Metal, round, and covered in gears. At first glance, it looked like a lump of rust. But time had merely hidden what it truly was. When archaeologists examined it closely, they realized they were looking at something that shouldn't have existed. A machine, more than 2,000 years old. Bronze gears, perfectly carved teeth, complex ratios, crafted with mathematical precision centuries ahead of their time. It would later be called the Antikythera mechanism. And even now, no one truly knows who built it, or how. Modern scans revealed that the device could predict the movements of the sun, the moon, and even eclipses, all with stunning accuracy. It was, in essence, the world's first analog computer, built at a time when the Roman Empire was still young, and inside its corroded gears was a secret message from the past. That progress is not modern. It's rediscovered. Some researchers believe the machine was the work of ancient Greek engineers, following the lost teachings of Archimedes or Hipparchus. Others think it came from an even older civilization, a forgotten era of science that vanished without record, because no other mechanism of its kind appeared again for over 1,000 years. It's as if the knowledge that made it simply vanished. In 2021, new fragments were uncovered, tiny inscriptions etched onto the gears themselves. They spoke of celestial harmony, mathematical beauty, and the connection between the heavens and mankind. Whoever built it wasn't just an engineer. They were a philosopher, someone who believed the universe could be understood through precision and pattern. And maybe that's the real secret of the Antikythera mechanism. It's not just a machine. It's a message. A reminder that civilization doesn't move in a straight line. We rise, we fall, and we rediscover what was once known. Because progress isn't modern, it's memory. The sea around Scotland is a lonely place. Grey waters, endless wind, and in winter, the ocean itself sounds alive, groaning like something ancient beneath the waves. It was there, on the remote island of Eilean Moor, that a lighthouse stood. A pillar of stone and silence. 3 men kept it: Thomas Marshall, James Ducat, and Donald MacArthur. Ordinary men, bound by duty and isolation. Then, in December of 1900, they vanished. When the relief crew arrived, the lighthouse was locked from the inside. The table was set for a meal never eaten. A chair was overturned, and one of the lamps still burned faintly, as if someone had just stepped out. But there was no one. No footprints in the snow. No sign of a struggle. Only the logbook. And the bell. The last entry in the log read: severe winds. Sea raging. Prayers for deliverance. Then nothing. No more words. No more names. But for 3 days after the men disappeared, fishermen passing by reported something strange. The bell at the top of the lighthouse, the one used to signal ships during storms, kept ringing, over and over, even when the wind had died. Authorities later said a massive wave must have swept the men out to sea, that the ringing bell was just the wind playing tricks. But locals never believed that. They said the island itself was cursed, a place where time forgets to move. And even now, on calm nights when the tide is low, some sailors claim they can hear it again, a faint bell echoing across the dark sea. Maybe it's just the wind. Or maybe some mysteries don't need witnesses. They echo on their own. October 1954. A bright, cloudless morning over West Germany. Santiago Flight 513 lifted off, a sleek Lockheed Super Constellation, bound for Brazil. There were 88 souls on board. Passengers, crew, families, all with plans, all with futures. And somewhere over the Atlantic, they vanished. No distress signal. No wreckage. No trace. Just silence. 4 decades. Then, 35 years later, in 1989, a radar operator in Porto Alegre, Brazil, picked up something impossible. A ghost signal, bearing the same flight code, Santiago 513. Moments later, a plane appeared, descending steadily, as if it had never left the sky. Witnesses at the airport said it landed perfectly, engines humming, tires meeting the runway, like a practiced return. But when ground crews approached, no one was alive. Inside the cabin, every seat was filled. 88 skeletons, still strapped in place, uniforms faded, bones clean, but the plane itself, untouched by time, fuel fresh, engines pristine, instruments still functional, as if it had simply skipped the years. between 1954 and 1989. Officials called it a hoax. The files were sealed, and the plane quietly removed. But pilots whispered for years about the time pocket over the Atlantic, a hidden corridor where storms bend time, and reality folds back on itself. Some say Flight 513 never landed, that what appeared that day wasn't a plane, but an echo, a memory of a journey that never truly ended. Because sometimes, the sky keeps what it takes, and airy once in a while, it gives something back. In the oldest corners of the world, long before cities, before writing, before the first wheel turned, someone was already painting the sky, hidden deep within the caves of Charama, India, and scattered across the Sahara Desert. There are drawings that shouldn't exist, shapes that look like aircraft, figures wearing helmets, objects descending from the clouds, painted more than 10,000 years ago. Archaeologists first dismissed them as imagination, symbols of spirits or gods. But when the details were examined closely, something felt too precise. Circular discs with landing struts, lines that resemble propulsion trails, and humanoid figures with large heads and glass-like domes. Not myths, not animals, something else. In Charama, local tribes call them the Rohila people, beings who came from the sky and promised to return. In the Sahara, similar art shows tall figures surrounded by glowing rings, their hands outstretched, their faces hidden behind masks, separated by thousands of miles. And yet, they tell the same story. Some say these are memories, frozen echoes of a forgotten contact between humanity and something beyond. Others believe they are proof that human civilization has risen and fallen more than once, that what we call modern technology isn't new, it's rediscovered. Look closely at those walls. The paint has faded, but the message still hums beneath the stone. It whispers, "You've been here before." The world still hides more than it reveals. Beneath every ocean, every mountain, every prayer, there are echoes that refuse to die. Maybe tonight you've heard one of them. If you have, then stay with us. Because the deeper we go, the louder the whispers become. Subscribe, not just to a channel, but to the pursuit of what was never meant to be found. This is where silence speaks. Until the next mystery, keep your eyes open and your mind unafraid.